Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online regulation VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'll be featuring one of the strongest archetypes in the Regulation H format right now, which is a balanced team featuring Pokemon like Alolan Ninetales, Garchomp, as well as Dragonite. Alolan Ninetales in particular is a really unique Pokemon right now because ice typing is just incredible into this format. There's so many Pokemon that are weak to it, like Rillaboom, Amoonguss, Garchomp, and Dragonite, just to name a couple. Versions of this team have had tremendous success in tournaments so far this season, finishing second place at 2 different regionals and winning a regional championship over in Brazil. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, would really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying PokePaste down in the description below. This team finished in the top 32 at the Louisville Regional Championships and is a newer take on one of the strongest archetypes so far that we've seen in the format. Choice Specs Alolan Ninetales in particular hits like an absolute truck, especially when you have that Ice Terra. Ninetales is able to outspeed most of the format and often can get freezes because it's clicking Blizzard or Freeze Dry so frequently, which can be really disruptive to your opponent. Choice Band Garchomp is immensely powerful, especially when you're pairing it with something like Dragonite next to it, and Choice Band Earthquake just covers for so much of this format. Assault Vest Dragonite has really good coverage across the board, and you've got things like Incineroar and Amoonguss for support, as well as the safety goggles Swords Dance King Gambit. Overall, this team just has a ton of balance across the board. You have so many powerful attackers, so many ways to threaten your opponent for super effective damage, and there's a reason why versions of this team have had so much success throughout the Regulation H meta so far. If you're looking for a game with intense PvP and PvE content that's available both on mobile and PC, then I'd like to introduce you to the one, the only, Raid Shadow Legends, who I'd like to thank for supporting today's video. Raid has over 800 champions within the game. With Halloween coming up, I want to share my top 3 Halloween-themed champions. My favorite is Harvest Jack, who I really like because of the design, but I'm also a big fan of Brackus the Shapeshifter, as well as Rotos the Lost Groom. You can also find champions based on Norse mythology in Raid. The Asgard Divide is an event running until November 22nd, where you'll be able to collect 4 different champions in Loki, Thor, Odin, and Freya. You can also get Loki the Deceiver for free right now by logging into Raid for 7 days between now and October 23rd. Logging in for an additional 7 days will result in even more bonuses. You can start playing for free right now using the QR code right by me, as well as the link in the description below. If you use these links, you'll get exclusive bonuses that are not available otherwise if you just download the game normally. Through it, you'll immediately get a huge starter pack with Epic Champion Uugo, one of the most valuable champions in the game. You'll also get another starter pack after reaching level 15 in the game that includes an Epic Fayne. You can also use promo code Monkey King to get Sun Wukong for free. This is a rare champion, so you definitely don't want to miss out. Finally, you can find me within the game as CybertronVGC and join my clan, also titled CybertronVGC. Thanks again to Raid for supporting the channel today. To provide some quick context about this team, this is one of the strongest archetypes in the Regulation H format right now, and it's had a lot of success in in-person tournaments. The team was initially created by Gabriel Agati, who is one of Latin America's best players of all time, and he actually won a regional championship over in Brazil with the composition. Other players like Sebastian Escalante as well as Paul Chua have had tremendous success with it in in-person tournaments as well, with Sebastian getting second place at Joinville Regionals and Paul getting second place at Baltimore Regionals. What's interesting is that there are a lot of different ways that you can actually run this team of 6 Pokemon. Paul's version of the team, which is what we first saw in Baltimore, the first Regulation H Major, had Lumberry on Dragonite, Sash on Alolan Ninetales, Assault Vest on King Gambit, Life Orb on Garchomp. The version that Gabriel ended up winning regionals with over in Brazil had the Choice Band on Garchomp and the Choice Specs on Alolan Ninetales, which is more in line with the version of the team that we'll be featuring. The version that finished in second place was more similar to Paul's, of course, with a lot of the same items and move choices ultimately. That takes us to the Louisville Regional Championships and the version of the team that we're featuring, which was piloted by Zhejiang, and this version has a lot of different changes, right? We've got the Protect Fairy Terra on the Amoonguss rather than Clear Smog. The Safety Goggles is actually on King Gambit rather than Incineroar. The Assault Vest is on Dragonite rather than King Gambit. You've got the Rocky Helmet here on the Incineroar, and then of course you have the Choice Band as well as the Choice Specs on Garchomp and Ninetales respectively. So this team, I think, is not going anywhere anytime soon. At this point, it's already been able to top cut so many of the big majors this season, and you can already see that there's a lot of flexibility in terms of item choices, move choices, as well as how you can train these Pokemon. And so I would expect this team of 6 to continue to be very strong going into the remaining, second half of this season and this format in particular. But yeah, just wanted to give some context because it's been everywhere and you might be curious where the team actually originated from. And as Sebastian credits here, the original idea was from Gabriel Gatti, and a couple of other really strong team builders worked alongside him in order to put the team together. Breaking down the individual mons, the first one to highlight is Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales has a unique place in the format right now because there are just so many Pokemon that are weak to Ice and Fairy, and so choice specs, Alolan Ninetales can just deal massive amounts of damage. Its base special attack isn't actually that high, but with Blizzard being such a valuable attack, you're able to still threaten a lot of one-hit knockouts against Pokemon that are weak to Alolan Ninetales like Garchomp and Dragonite. What this Alolan Ninetales also does really well is force defensive Terras out from your opponent, right? Often people will want to go for Fire Terra or Steel Terra in order to resist Ice, but if they go for that, then Garchomp can just take advantage of it and go for super effective ground type attacks into those Pokemon. You also have Dazzling Gleam and Moonblast for Fairy coverage, which is really nice, and Freeze Dry is an awesome move which you can use into Water type Pokemon, which obviously otherwise will resist your Ice type attacks. This Alolan Ninetales is max speed. It's really critical that you are outpacing max speed Garchomps because that obviously is really common in the format, and there are a lot of other Pokemon that are around that speed tier range as well, so it's nice to just get the bump against them. Ice Terra just further increases the damage output of your Blizzard and your Freeze Dry and gets rid of the Fairy typing as well, which can be valuable. Alolan Ninetales here also has a little bit of bulk in HP and defense, which is nice, especially because the Ninetales is already going to have its defense boosted when the snow is up, and so this just further increases its ability to take physical attacks. The Ninetales can be led often in order to force defensive Terras, or it can be a really strong closer if you've already baited out your Terras from your opponents. I often find that a lot of teams have like 2 or 3 Pokemon that are weak to spam from Blizzard, but they're going to have like one really good defensive tool in order to deal with Ninetales, right? Steel types in particular can be annoying. So that's why you kind of want to use the rest of the team to take care of those threats. And then you can consider using Ninetales in the end game. You can also use Ninetales in the early game, force out those defensive Terras, and then use Garchomp to take advantage of it. By the way, this is Choice Band Garchomp, and as you can see here, it's also got a little bit of bulk, HP, and defense, not just max attack, max speed. Jolly Nature is really valuable on Garchomp because a lot of people like using Adamant Garchomp, so being able to just guarantee that you are faster than Adamant Garchomp and threaten the Garchomp with a one-hit knockout with Dragon Claw is really critical. Some people like Ground Terra on Garchomp, but this is Steel Terra, which is really nice defensively. Steel in particular is really valuable into things like Golden Go, for example, which otherwise can just go for Steel Terra, make it rain, and I think that's really scary. And so having this is really nice as a defensive option, and you've got a good bit of bulk here as well. But yeah, max speed here, really critical when you're going up against opposing Garchomps. And so this Garchomp I find is a really consistent lead option with this team. Garchomp and Dragonite, Garchomp and Ninetales are 2 of my favorite leads. You can also go like Instant Garchomp, for example, and the idea is you just start pressuring with a lot of damage immediately. Dragonite on this team is multi-skill rather than inner focus, and you've got the Assault Vest here. So the idea is that the Dragonite can just soak up a lot of damage, especially special damage, and deal a lot of damage in return. You're often going to want to go for that Flying Terra Blast in order to just threaten with a ton of damage, but you've got really good coverage between Extreme Speed, Ice Spinner, as well as Low Kick. Low Kick valuable into things like King Gambit, for example. Extreme Speed valuable to finish off Pokemon, and Ice Spinner is nice for a couple reasons. First of all, it is just really strong into opposing Dragonites and Garchomps and other Pokemon that take super effective damage, like Rillaboom, for example. And of course, critically, it's able to remove your opponent's terrain as well. Rounding out the team, you've got Safety Goggles, Swords Dance, King Gambit. A lot of people like using Black Glasses on this Pokemon, and the other versions of this team had Assault Vest on this Pokemon, but Goggles is still really nice to deal with opposing Amoonguss. This King Gambit is pretty standard, but the one thing to note here is that you've got a little bit of speed investment, which gives you the edge against other Pokemon around that speed tier range, like Incineroar. As you'll notice here, the King Gambit here is actually exactly 1 speed point faster than Incineroar, and so this way your King Gambit will actually get to move before Incineroar does, and if you're going up against opposing Incineroars that don't have any speed investment, that can be valuable as well. This normally wants to just Swords Dance, go for Dark Terra, and then do a ton of damage with your Dark type attacks. The Incineroar on this team is really powerful because it's actually adamant and with a little bit of attack investment. So Flare Blitz and Knockoff just do a ton of damage. Fairly straightforward Pokemon. The one thing to note here is you actually have Rocky Helmet on this. Rocky Helmet in particular, really nice into Mousehold. We actually saw Mousehold win against this team in the finals of Baltimore Regionals, but a Rocky Helmet plus Intimidate means that if you switch it in on a Mousehold, the Mousehold will just essentially KO itself from Rocky Helmet, and you're not going to be taking a ton of damage thanks to Intimidate as well. Amoonguss is the final one on this team, and this Amoonguss does not have Clear Smog. It's just Protect, Pollen Puff, Spore, Rage Powder. Clear Smog is normally used over Protect because it gives you a better Dondozo matchup, so you can opt for either, but I like Protect on this version, since Dondozo actually isn't that hard for this team when you have Alolan Ninetales with Ice Terra Freeze Dry, as well as Incineroar for Intimidate. So the Amoonguss here, as a result, can run Protect, which is a little bit nicer defensively. And the main thing to note here is you actually have a little bit of speed investment. Where the speed investment helps is if your opponent goes for Terra with their Amoonguss, right? Often Amoongusses will Terra against Ninetales because they don't want to get hit by a super effective Ice Terra Blizzard. And so if they go for a Terra, then your Amoonguss often will be able to outpace opposing Amoongusses and put them to sleep, which I think is really awesome. This team just has a ton of flexibility, so there's no one clear way to play it, but some leads that I often like are Incineroar paired with really anything, but like Instant Ninetales, Instant Garchomp, Instant Dragonite has a lot of offense immediately, Instant Gambit can threaten with Fake Out plus Swords Dance, Instant Amoonguss is a lot more defensive, but can, stop your opponent from doing a ton of damage and also put on pressure with Spore immediately. If you really want to just go with damage immediately, I like leads including Ninetales Garchomp, Ninetales Dragonite, and Dragonite Garchomp. These are just like your main attackers immediately from turn 1 and can really put on pressure against your opponent right from the get-go. And then you can also have some setups, right? Like King Gambit plus Amoonguss, for example, just Rage Powder, Swords Dance, and then start sweeping with King Gambit. So it's very much trying to, I would say, do as much damage as possible quickly. And if you can bait out a Terra early, then the rest of your Pokemon can potentially take advantage of that Terra. In terms of things to watch out for, I think you have to be careful with this version of the team because there's no Protect on Garchomp, Dragonite, Ninetales, or Incineroar, and so that's something that your opponents can definitely take advantage of. When you use choice Pokemon like Ninetales and Garchomp, if your opponent just protects, for example, then you'll be locked into an attack, and that's something they can take advantage of. Ninetales in particular really doesn't like going up against Pokemon that resist its Ice-type attacks and its Fairy-type attacks. So Fire types, Steel types, for example, can be really annoying, and Fire and Steel Terras in particular can be annoying as well. Opposing Ice-type Pokemon, for example, as well. And so for Ninetales, I often find that a really strong Steel-type Pokemon that threatens me offensively is super scary, right? Something like Goldengo in particular is tough, and the rest of the team can deal with Goldengo totally fine, right? You've got Gambit, you've got Insane, you've got Garchomp, but Ninetales can often feel like a waste of a Pokemon if it, just goes for Blizzard, your opponent protects with one Pokemon, the Steel-type Pokemon just knocks out Ninetales, and so a lot about using this Pokemon properly is positioning it where it's not threatened by super effective damage and, damage where it can just knock it out immediately in one hit. For Garchomp, you're going to be wanting to go for Dragon-type attacks and Dragon Claw and your Ground-type attacks a lot, so things that can resist those or immune to those can be annoying. Flying-type Pokemon in particular can put Garchomp in a tough spot, especially if Ninetales is not out on the field with it. This Dragonite, because it's multi-scale, of course, is vulnerable to Intimidate as well as Fake Out. With multi-scale as well, breaking the multi-scale before Dragonite gets value out of it can be really valuable as well, right? So using a priority attack just to break it and then knock it out with the super effective attack can be really strong. One thing to pay attention to with this team is the Terra. You have a lot of Pokemon that want a Terra, especially Dragonite, Garchomp, and Ninetales. And so, for example, Dragonite can sometimes feel kind of useless if it doesn't Terra. Goldengo in particular, a Pokemon that can just wall this completely. And so you have to be careful about how you position it because Terra Blast, when obviously you're not Terra, is just not going to be very powerful. And Extreme Speed, Ice Spin, or Low Kick are all decent offensive options, but rarely will they actually secure one-hit knockouts unless it's against something that's 4 times super effective, right? For King Gambit in particular, you only have Dark-type coverage, and so Pokemon that can resist those Dark-type attacks are really valuable. Because you don't have the Black Glasses as well, you're going to do a little bit less damage, and it's not max attack investment in terms of EVs as well, so that's something you can take advantage of. For Amoonguss here, I find that because it's Fairy Terra, I actually don't end up tearing Amoonguss a lot of times and find myself wanting a different Terra, like Water, for example, but Fairy Terra means that you are going to be consistently taking at least neutral damage from types like Fire and Steel. all. And so, you know, like a Steel Terra Make It Rain is really scary. A Fire Terra Eruption from Torkoal under Trick Room can be really scary. So those are some things to watch out for. And then the last thing to call out here is that you don't have any speed control with this team. There's no Tailwind, there's no Trick Room, there's no Icy Wind. And so going up against opposing teams with good speed control can be really scary because like you kind of just admit like you're going to get outpaced by your opponent. Now, the reason why that's actually okay sometimes is because you have Intimidate from Incin, you have Amoonguss with Pollen Puff as well. But the main thing to note is that you very likely will get outsped if you're going up against like Tailwind teams, for example, right? So that means you need to make sure that you have good defensive plays, whether it be pivoting in Amoonguss or Incin or going for defensive Terras to survive. But those are just a couple of things that I wanted to know. And then obviously for Alolan Ninetales, like opposing weather can be scary because then Blizzard doesn't become 100% accurate. And then there are a lot of like shared weaknesses here, right? Like ice between Garchomp, Dragonite, and Amoonguss, which is funny since this team, you know, takes advantage of Alolan Ninetales as well. But yeah. We've got Rain here, but no Pelipper. It's definitely Rain Dance on Murkrow. Murkrow, Golden Goal, Mousehold, Basculegion, Dragonite, Archaludon. Murkrow's obviously scary. Golden Goals Make It Rain is scary. Murkrow, Basculegion as a lead scares me a bit. Murkrow, Golden Goal is tough as well. Gambit applies a lot of offensive pressure, and if it gets a Swords Dance off, Sucker Punch demolishes my opponent. I'm thinking something like Gambit, Amoonguss lead. I could just lead Ninetales as well. The risk of this is if they lead something like Murkrow, Basculegion, Rain Dance, Water Terra, Wave Crash. I'm intrigued by this because it's like it forces them to click either Rain Dance or Tailwind, but you can't click both. I would guess it's Population Bomb, Mousehold, so Rocky Helmet Incin feels really good here if that is the case. And then I think I want Chomp as the last one. Dragonite with the Salt Vest, not the most valuable here into their team because there's so many physical attackers. I do think Amoonguss could be quite good, but I'm actually opting to drop it despite thinking about leading it initially. So, let's see. Generally, my game plan here is to go for... try to get one Swords Dance up. I think with one boost, King Gambit with Dark Terra can just do so much damage into their comp. Okay, it is going to be Murkrow Golden Go. So the thing about a lead like this is I would think they're just going to go for something like Tailwind plus Make It Rain. They could steal Terra as well. Murkrow does get Haze, which is scary. So I think turn one, I'm just going to go for Kowtow Cleave. And then switch into Incin. Normally I would Swords Dance, but I think the threat of Haze turn 2 is too much. And they should also force a Golden Go Terra, which I think is really key for us. Because if you Terra, then the next turn, if you're not Ghost typing anymore, I can just fake out, double up onto that slot. Yep, here's the Terra. Into Golden Go, fine by me. Terra Steel, yep. Okay. There's the Tailwind. Tailwind Make It Rain is what we think, you know, makes the most sense here. Yep, Steel Terra Make It Rain comes out now. Still going to do a ton of damage, right? Steel Terra, presumably Choice Specs as well. It does over half to Gambit there. As we now go for Kowtow Cleave. Great damage there. So yeah, I could fake out Kowtow Cleave into you now. Got Knockoff. We ideally want to keep Murkrow out on the field right now. So I think I am down to fake out Kowtow. Golden Go could switch into Archaludon here, which I think would be a strong play by them. That would stack up their defense immediately, which is scary. One of the things to think about is getting to an end game where we have Alolan Ninetales. They don't switch out here, which is good. So, yeah, there's the Haze I was talking about, what I wanted to respect earlier. So you've seen Tailwind, Haze, presumably Rain Dance, And then normally you're going to want to run an offensive attack, so Foul Play or Brave Bird. But we get rid of Golden Goal here. And this is exactly why I didn't want a Sword Stance. Normally, like, King Gambit wants to look for a boost, but with Murkrow being led with the Golden Goal, it just felt like Haze was entirely too obvious. So that turn works out pretty well for us. They're going to bring out Dragonite. Okay. Ninetales is really well positioned right now, in my opinion. The main thing to think about is obviously they can still get rid of our Snow by going for a Rain Dance. What do I want to do here? Parting Shot for sure and a Dragonite. I think I'm down to Sucker Punch here and Parting Shot. Sucker Punch breaks multi-scale on Dragonite, which is what I'm looking for. And they actually switch Murkrow out, which is fine by me. Let's see what their last one is. Basculegion? Okay. Cool. We get Sucker off as they low kick into us. That looks like multi-scale Dragonite to me. And we can confirm that by simply swapping the Incineroar back in. But here's Parting Shot. And now Ninetales, I think, is in phenomenal shape. I don't even have to go for... So let's bring Ninetales out. I don't have to go for Blizzard. I actually think I'd rather lock into Freeze Dry right now. So let's bring Ensign. I think the main upside of Blizzard is that I could just Ice Terra Blizzard pretty easily right now, but then Basculegion, like I'm worried about it last respects into everything in this endgame. I could also Grass Terra this, which would allow me to go for Knockoff pretty easily into you. Okay, I actually don't hate that. Grass Terra, Knockoff, Blizzard. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, and they switched Dragonite out. That's fine. That's the main thing I wanted to cover for. I didn't want to just go for Fake Out into it. Like, Dragonite's at -2 attack anyway, right? So the expectation is that it switches. So here's Grass Terra now. And if they go for a Wave Crash into Incin, I think the game is just over. Either way, we have this Intimidate onto Basculegion. Okay, they just go for last respects. Cool. But with the Snow defense boost and with the... Yes, Blizzard here just obliterates Murkrow. Perfect. With the Snow defense boost and the Intimidate, like, I wasn't threatened by Basculegion in the slightest. So much of Alolan Ninetales is just looking for one or two really powerful moves off, and in this endgame, we found the position for it. As Knockoff just KOs Basculegion, gets a crit, but I think we would have knocked out anyway. And the main thing was going for Grass Terra to cover for a Wave Crash going into that slot. With Dragonite, I think likely being a Salt Vest as well. Do we see a Focus, actually? That's really interesting. No Life Orb, no Choice Band, which is why Ninetales took such little damage in that position. But Dragonite just comes back out, and I can just pivot back into Garchomp for another Intimidate. Blizzard here actually probably just gets the KO anyway, though, but in case they protect. And, yeah, that's going to be the win. The main thing here is... I think the beginning of the game was really important, right? We were able to bait out Terra from King Gambit, which meant nothing else could defensively Terra, and that already set Ninetales up for success. We could have ended this game in a bunch of different ways, but in the end, yeah, I think like I didn't want to Ice Terra with the Ninetales because I wanted to make sure that the Incineroar could survive a turn, and after we got Intimidate off against both of their attackers, I was like, okay, I think with Incin here, what's the worst case? It would probably be Basculegion protects. I guess I could flip turn in that position, but then if you flip turn, you just eat up Blizzard on whatever's coming in, right? So the worst case would be like Basculegion protects, but then Blizzard just knocks out Dragonite or knocks out Murkrow. So this is one of the reasons why Ninetales is so good and why Choice Specs Ninetales in particular are so good. There's so many flying types right now in the format. Murkrow is actually not very common in the open team sheet best of 3 environment, but it's quite common on ladder. But then you think of other common Pokemon like Garchomp and Dragonite, and being able to threaten those with knockouts with Blizzard is just so powerful. Okay, we've got Dozo for this one. Dozo, Tatsu, Pawmot, Murkrow, Dragonite, Golden Go. If I were my opponent, I could see them playing really aggressively with like Murkrow, Golden Go, Pawmot. So I think that's what I want to respect the most. Steel Terra Chomp, very good. Into Golden Go. I think I'm happy for instant Chomp here because I could just fake out Stomping turn 1. And if it specs Golden Go, which normally is the case, it's huge. And then I probably want Ninetales and Amoonguss here. Now, Amoonguss doesn't have the clear Smog. But I think being able to pressure with Spore is still good. And Ninetales being able to freeze dry Dozo is huge. Yeah. Ninetales in itself is not bad into Dondozo because we have the Snow Defense boost. And then I can side Pollen Puff to heal myself as well. So let's see what they opt for. But we have a lot of damage pressure with this lead. Murkrow Chomp? Or sorry, Murkrow Golden Go, perfect. Okay. My main fear would be a Ghost Terra on Murkrow turn 1. But if they Ghost Terra Tailwind... I think if there's any time to Ghost Terra Murkrow, it actually is here, which is why I'm cautious. Grass Terra here is valuable into Dondozo. But I think I'm happy to just Steel Terra here, Stomping Tantrum. Fake out. The problem with the Steel Terra is it now makes me vulnerable to Palma, but if I knock out Golden Go here, I can so easily just switch Garchomp out into Amoonguss next turn. But yeah, I think Ghost Terra Murkrow, like if there's any time to use it, it's here. Like that. Yep. Oh, wait, what? Okay, well now the question is, are you Covert Cloak on Murkrow? No? Enjoy the Choice Band Stomping Tantrum. That's very good for us. And that's a KO, yeah. They weren't expecting Choice Band here. I think this is why Band adds a whole nother dimension to this team. You just do so much damage. People are so used to like Clear Amulet or Life Orb. So the fact that we get a Terror out there is amazing. Yep, there's Palma coming out. So obviously you can Revival Blessing right now. I'm happy to switch into Amoonguss and go for a Parting Shot onto Palmot. The idea with this is then I can pivot in Ninetales and then just spam Blizzard. Cool. They go for Tailwind, which is fine. Not a big deal here. Yep, and they go for Revival Blessing. Totally fine by me. So Golden Go heals back up. Now we Parting Shot into them. I think this next turn, if you're my opponent, you probably switch the... Let's see, we bring out Ninetales, right? I could bring out Chomp, low-key. Because with Chomp, I mean, they could Haze close combat. I think Ninetales is better position right now. So if I were them, I would switch out into Golden Go. You know, the cool thing, though, is if you switch out into Golden Go, because you went for... Oh, Golden Go's Terra, it doesn't remain, right? With Revival Blessing, it's just regular Golden Go. So I probably do want to conserve these. I can fish for a Spore. Spore into Murkrow and just Blizzard here. Okay, Palmot switches, yep. Into Golden Go, as expected. Yep, and it doesn't have its Terror anymore. They just foul play us. Okay, that's fine. So we get Specs Blizzard off. Doesn't knock out the Murkrow, which is actually beneficial because now I get to put it to sleep. And this actually stalls out a lot of the pressure that they have, which is huge for us. I'll gladly take that turn. Their last one likely is Dragonite, so we are getting to an end game where I think Ninetales can just win the game by clicking Blizzard continuously. Here I'm happy to just switch into the Incineroar. They could Power Gem, I guess, which would be interesting. But I'm leaning towards just Protect here, switch into Incin. It's a fairly obvious play, but I'm still fine going for it. Even if they Power Gem, then you're locked into Power Gem, and that's not that scary. Okay. I thought about going for side Pollen Puff here just to cover for like instant taking damage, but if they click Make It Rain, they're just in so much trouble. But it is going to be the Power Gem play. Okay, nicely done. But yeah, that doesn't KO us. That's fine. Murkrow stays asleep. So now that you've revealed that you're going to commit to Power Gem, 2 turns of Snow, last turn of Tailwind, I am happy to Pollen Puff into Murkrow and then now switch out into Garchomp. Nice play though. Very nice play. Instead of clicking Make It Rain there. But I'm still fine because now I'm just not threatened by Golden Go, right? Like you have Specs Power Gem into a Steel Terra Chomp as well as an Amoonguss. Cool. Maybe Power Gem again. Yep. Murkrow stays asleep. And now this eliminates a second Tailwind from their end, which is huge, as we'll be able to finish off the Murkrow with Pollen Puff. Perfect. We want a little bit of chip damage on a Golden Go, ideally enough where another Blizzard just finishes it off. Although right now Garchomp honestly could just like Earthquake, right? Yeah, I think you have to bring out Palma. I think you probably switch out the Golden Go. I don't mind sporing into Golden Go and switching Incin in. The logic behind sporing Golden Go here is I do think it's fairly likely it switches out, and even if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because once again, you're just locked into Power Gem. I want them to close combat Incin ideally, so that they eat up Rocky Helpman damage. Okay, perfect. Nice. They end up staying in with Golden Go, so that could have been a Spore into Palmot, which probably would have just been game winning, because then I can just Dragon Claw everything for the win, but this is also fine. Okay, just Power Gem again. Yep. 177 down to 105, but now Citrus Berry activates. Perfect. Okay. And I didn't mind fishing for the switch in there, because I think if they do switch out and we catch whatever's coming in and put it to sleep, we're in such a commanding position. But now I'm happy to just bring out Garchomp. Palmot's intimidated. I think Palmot should switch out here, personally. So I'm down to Spore into Palmot now. Stomping into Golden Go. Because I think, like, if you're my opponent, you have to respect Rage Powder from Amoonguss, right? This could be a little bit scary if they actually close combat. Golden Go does switch, so does Palmot protect here, is the question now. It is going to be the Dragonite as the last one, as expected. And they close combat into us, but we survive. Okay, cool. Nice call by my opponent, though. Like, I think they played the last 2 turns really, really well. They've made a lot of very impressive plays this game. But now we put you to sleep. Cool. I think now they should probably look towards E-speeding us here. To which I can Spore into Dragonite. Switch out into Ninetales. Yeah, really great calls, though, in back-to-back turns. Like, I thought Goldengo would switch out when it didn't, and then I thought Palma would switch out when it didn't. So they've been one step ahead of me, but because I think we have a pretty big team advantage, it's still fine. Perfect, the E-Speed. Burn a turn of sleep here. But now we have reached the Ninetales endgame where I can just click Blizzard into everything, right? Goldengo here can't take 2 Blizzards, which is the main part of the equation. So let's see if you're Lumberry. No Lum, perfect. Okay, with that, I think we just go Rage Powder here and Blizzard. We've put everything to sleep. Blizzard is a 2-hit knockout onto their entire team, and we have redirection support with Rage Powder. I think the main thing here is my opponent blew their Terra on turn 1, and we were able to just fully capitalize off that as Blizzard just gets the KO. Cool. And Dragonite stays asleep. Cool. Goldengo comes back out. Yep. So we can just go for Pollen Puff here into Goldengo and Blizzard here. Yep. Nice. KOs the Dragonite. And you can get a Make It Rain off, but then Garchomp just comes out, outspeeds you, and knocks you out. I think I probably could have played this game a little bit cleaner, especially with Ninetales. Like, I was just angling to get Ninetales out in a good spot, and because they locked into Power Gem, it was kind of awkward. Like, I think my opponent played perfectly for a couple of turns, essentially, to stay in this one, but even with the perfect play, it was still fine. I wonder if Close Combat had knocked out Garchomp, whether or not anything would have changed. But I think the answer is no, right? Because I didn't need Garchomp in the end game, and once we were able to put both Palma and Dragonite to sleep, like, Ninetales was able to just dominate. And so even though it's like I made a couple predictions that didn't work out, it was totally fine, because even in the worst case scenario, we were still totally okay, right? And it's like if my opponent does make any of the plays that I expect them to at any point, we just end the game immediately. But so much of this was setting up for Ninetales in the end game, so it was fine, like, you know, being outplayed a couple of turns because we had such a big advantage, and the idea is to position Ninetales in and just get it in safely. But kudos to my opponent, because I thought after turn 1, like, I had such a huge lead, and the fact they were able to bring it back to a playable point is very impressive. Whoa, Hisuian Electro, that's really cool. Pelipper, Annihilate, the Archaludon, the Rillaboom, and the Overquill. So the main thing to worry about with the Electrode is Self-Bullet Seed into Archaludon. How in the world do I stop that? I don't have Clear Smog on Amoonguss here either. Wait, I might... That's really scary. I could use Instant. Oh, man. Scarf Annihilate here would be really spooky. This is a really terrifying team. I'm gonna go Instant Garchomp. Ninetales. Dragonite's only good if I'm Terraing it, but Terraflying it is really solid here. Amoonguss would be the other consideration. Fine going Dragonite. There's so many scary things here, though. Scarf Annihilate, the Bullet Seed into Archaludon. Hisuian Electrode is just so dang fast. So, in best of one, like, I think it's really scary because there's so many combos they could go for. Pelipper plus the Overquill, Electrode plus the Archaludon, Annihilate plus anything. Electrode Annihilate. Oh, goodness. This is scary. I just activated Defiant. I'm really worried that they, like, U-turn out into Archaludon and Self-Bullet Seed. I'm gonna fake out Electro turn 1 and Dragon Claw it. My dream would be that they switch in Archaludon or U-turn and then we actually knock out the Electrode, but that might be wishful thinking. This was just such a tough team to lead into, especially because they have so much speed. Annihilape could run Safety Goggles, Choice Scarf, Citrus, Lefties. Oh, man. Is this a Ghost Terra? It probably is. They're just gonna... They're gonna Bullet Seed themselves and Rage Fist me. And it's probably Scarf Annihilape, isn't it? That's so cool. That is so cool. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm cooked. I'm straight cooked. I think it's over. The game is just over. If this is Scarfape, which I assume it is. Oh, did they target Instant? Oh my gosh. In retrospect, Scarfape plus Ghost Terra, very likely combination. Oh man, what do I even do? Okay, well, Dragonite has the multi-scale. I've lost to beat up Whimsicott plus Scarf Annihilape before, but Electrode with that Ghost Terra just even elevates things to the next level. I brought out Ninetales, but where does that even get me? Have to knock out Annihilape here. So I'll go Dazzling Gleam, Dragon Claw, I guess. You can only knock out one of my two Pokemon at least. Yeah, I think Scarfape is honestly a huge problem when you have Rage Fist plus a way to stack up. And I indexed too heavily on Archaladon in this game. I didn't even really think about Ghost Terra specifically on Electrode. And like, I brought Instant just to get that Fake Out off, but them having the Ghost Terra just invalidates Fake Out completely, and then Annihilape even capitalizes off it by getting a Defiant boost, so masterfully done. Okay, they go for Taunt, so they don't respect me being offensive here, which is huge, because I get Choice Specs Gleam off now. As they Rage Fist here. I think Specs Gleam hopefully gets the double KO, and if that's the case, then we're still totally in this game. Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't think it would survive that. I could have gone for Moonblast instead, but wow. Wanted to try to get the double knockout there. I think with that, the game is over. But we actually had a small chance. I'm really curious what my opponent's final Pokemon was. Because if it was Archaladon... if it's Archaladon, I'm probably still cooked, right? Especially if Pelia's Wide Guard. This is a really tough matchup, and my opponent played awesome. Like, the turn 1 play was just beautiful. It's not like I could go with the Moongus and Rage Powder. But yeah, Annihilape looks like it literally has 1 HP, which is unfortunate. It takes away any chance of coming back, I think. I do want to just see what their last one is, though. Someone Dazzle Ice Spinner. But yeah. Stacked Rage Fist here, just so tough. They're going to target the Dragonite, and even with the multi-scale, that's still enough for a KO because you're just fully stacked. There's Dazzling Gleam. Let's see what their last one was. It's probably Overquell, actually, right? As they go for Tailwind. Maybe they didn't have Wide Guard. Archaladon would have been my guess. Yeah. I think I still would have lost this anyway. Because, like, Gleam just doesn't do enough damage, basically. And Dragonite doesn't actually hit Archaladon for a lot of damage. But I don't think a Moongus or King Gambit really would have been much better here either. So, yeah. honestly, just really, really cool team. I love Electrode being able to, you know, enable both the Annihilate as well as the Archaludon here. So, like, props to my opponent, because I think, like, this is a team I would personally love to try out. And I think, like, Electrode having such high speed, allowing you to run that loaded dice in order to enable your Pokemon is really, really powerful. And Taunt is obviously a great support move as well. So, yeah. I think Scarf and Annihilate honestly really scary for this team to deal with because you have so few protects and there's very difficult to deny that Rage Fist. Like I mentioned, I lost against beat up Whimsicott plus Scarf and Annihilate as well. And it was a really tough combination. Like I just felt like especially without knowing Annihilate's item in the beginning of the game. In this matchup, I did think it was Scarf, but I didn't like put 2 and 2 together that it was going to be Ghost Terra specifically with the Bullet Seed into Rage Fist. And my idea was like, you know what? I don't care about Annihilate getting a Defiant Boost because what are you going to do? Final Gambit, close combat? If I can knock out the Electro, then things are actually okay. But yeah, unfortunately for us, it was indeed Ghost Terra, which makes so much sense, right? Specifically so that you can invalidate Fake Out on turn 1 of the game. So that was just an awesome team. Well played, man. We've got Sneasler, Dragonite, Ursaluna, Goldengo, Archaludon, Incineroar. The bottom 2 resist Ninetales as Blizzards. I could see them even leading like Incin, Goldengo, Sneasler, Goldengo. Sneasler, Goldengo is really scary here. I think Dragonite is nice with Inner Focus. Or sorry, with Multiscale. Because I can soak up damage in Terra Blast. I'm thinking Garchomp, Dragonite, Incin, Ninetales here. Garchomp, Dragonite just exerts so much offensive pressure right away in the beginning of this game. Like with it, I can just go for Earthquake immediately. I could go Flying Terra, Terra Blast, for example. So we have a lot of options with it. Sneasler, Ursaluna, okay. I would guess they'd want to Fake Out into Garchomp here, right? Fake Out into Garchomp. I think I'm fine going for Terra here. Terra Blast into Sneasler. EQ. Flying Sneasler here could be scary. That's normally used when you have your own, like, Garchomp. So we're going to Terra. Sneasler's not Terraing here. Like I said, I think Fake Out into Chomp makes sense. No, it's going to be Ursaluna Terra. Okay. Fine by me. I think my main question is whether or not I should have switched into Incin turn 1. Oh, they just go for Dire Claw. Oh my gosh. The turn 1 Dire Claw into the immediate sleep. That was the worst thing that could have happened to us. Okay. That is unfortunate. We take our first turn of sleep. And they Hyper Voice. That is so frustrating because we would have just knocked out Sneasler there, and yeah, Hyper Voice does not do a ton. They're not Life Orb, so I'm fairly sure there should be Assault Vested. They can now close combat into us here, so I think I'm going to switch into Incin to soak it up, and then they faint from Rocky Helmet. And just Terra Blast into you. Oh man, Dire Claw is just a crazy move. I would have been happy with any other status condition as well, but to roll the condition into sleep is tough. But that's why Lumberry is actually very common on Dragonite as an item. Oh, Sneasler actually protects. That's interesting. I wonder if it's Poison Touch then, if they're going for that. Ah, and we stay asleep for another turn. Okay. They just Hyper Voice again. Okay, like fake out into Sneasler now is obvious, so I think they actually might consider switching out. I'm gonna fake out into Ursaluna then. Terra Blast. Sneasler switching out, I think, into, for example, like Golden Go makes sense. I thought about Flare Blitz or Knock Off into it. But they just stay in. Okay, nicely done. Looks like they're trying to go for Vacuum Wave here. But it is close combat to knock out Instant, which is great, because now you end up fainting from Rocky Helmet, so I'll actually take that trade. Okay. Question is, does Dragonite stay asleep for a third turn? Stay faint. Okay, we wake up. Nice. So we get the Terra Blast off. Cool. That gets the knockout. Okay, nice. Despite the Dire Claw roll, we're still in decent shape here. I could just go straight out into Ninetales. They could have Golden Go. I think we go Chomp first here. I'm really worried about Scarf Golden Go, though. Yeah, so there's Golden Go. And our Chaladon. Okay, that's fine by me. Now I've got Choice Band, Guard Chomp with Earthquake, so it's super well positioned. But yeah, if you're Scarf Golden Go, then it causes some issues. But then if you're Scarf, I'm not sure Making Rain actually KOs me here. So do we think this is sturdy? Because I'm thinking I can Extreme Speed here. If you're sturdy, to break the sturdy and then just Earthquake. But okay, I'm fine going for Low Kick here and Earthquake. Okay, they don't protect either. Nice. So Choice Band Earthquake comes out. That should knock out Golden Go, right? Beautiful. Nice. And it's going to be Electro Shot. Yeah, looks like it is sturdy. Cool. So that'll knock out Dragonite, but then I have Ninetales and Garchomp, and both are just faster than our Chaladon and can secure the knockout. Yeah, conserving Garchomp was really important here to deal with their Steel types in this endgame. I'm guessing that they were specs on Golden Go, because if not, you could protect Golden Go there and then knock out my Garchomp. But then if you knock out Garchomp, Golden Go would actually win that, right? Because it'd be Ninetales plus Dragonite, and neither of those really do any damage into Golden Go. So that could have been really scary. But Ninetales now gets to come out. And we can just go for any attack here. Blizzard, EQ. The awkward thing here is because I'm banded on Garchomp, I'm going to have to Earthquake myself, but it doesn't matter. Like, where it would matter is if our Chaladon were... No, even if it were faster, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because it's like... Yeah, we'll Blizzard here. I guess where it would matter is if they were faster with our Chaladon. And the only way you could be faster is if you were, like, Choice Scarfed. But obviously you're not. But if that were the case, and you go for, like, multiple protects, you hope I KO myself, and then you outspeed me and KO me. So you have to watch out for scenarios when you do Earthquake yourself in which like your opponent does have a Pokemon that's faster, but here our Chaladon's not faster, so not a major concern. We've got Golden Go, Maushold, Dragonite, Incineroar, Ursaluna, and Ninetales for this one. So pretty cool to see an opposing Ninetales. Our Ninetales is resisted by Instant, Ninetales, and Golden Go. Steel Terra Chomp is not bad against all of those. I could see them leading Instant Ninetales. King Gambit can capitalize off Incineroar being led. Although we still don't do that much damage until like Instant Ninetales from their end. I like our Incineroar. I like our Ninetales. I like our Garchomp. Slowpoke Dragonite's not bad. Amoonguss doesn't feel great in this matchup. I think Gambit doesn't feel the best either. So I'm down to go for Incineroar Ninetales lead, Dragonite, Garchomp in the back. If we can clear their Ninetales, then I think it opens the door for Garchomp to do a lot of work. So that's going to be one of the primary win cons. Otherwise, I think we want to respect Aurora Veil on Ninetales. Not much I can do to stop it, though, if they lead Incin and their Ninetales. It's going to be Mousehold and Ursaluna. Okay, that works for me. Assault Vest Ursaluna is a thing. I expect this to be support mouse. I think, honestly, turn 1, I'm down to just go for Fake Out. Blizzard. I'm thinking about even commanding my Ice Terra, but I think giving up Terra on what we have in the back is a pretty big deal. I'm also thinking about clicking like Parting Shot here, but yeah, I think I'm turn 1, I'm down to Fake Out Blizzard. Okay, they're gonna Terra here. Ghost Terra would be pretty spooky. Ursaluna, Blood Moon is gonna Terra, and it's gonna be normal. Okay, fine by me. We just get a powerful Blizzard off to start. And getting them to commit a Terra this early on, I think, is great. So there's Fake Out. And they just go for Follow Me. Cool. I think Ninetales can honestly just Ice Terra next turn in Blizzard. Let's see how much we do with choice specs here. Okay, that's definitely Assault Vested. But we get the freeze immediately onto Ursaluna Blood Moon, which is very fortunate. Like, Ice Terror here just secures the knockout onto this, so I'm thinking we just go knockoff into you. Ice Terra, Blizzard. The freeze didn't impact turn 1, but now, of course, it makes my opponent's life a lot more difficult with Ursaluna. But, like I said, I'm fairly sure that's Assault Vest on Ursaluna, so... Here's our Terra. Yeah, Mouse goes for the Protect, which is very smart and safe. But I think if they don't thaw out immediately here, they're just in so much trouble. So let's see if they get the immediate thaw out. Either way, here's Blizzard coming out. Gets a crit as well. And unfortunately, they stay frozen. So I think here's the knockoff, which should remove the Assault Vest. Yeah. Because we got that freeze, I was willing to commit to the Terra. I think without the freeze, I don't know if I would have gone for it. Still not like a terrible option because we do so much damage. But yeah, I honestly think the game is just over from here. So let's just get over the finish line now. Their best bet would be to switch Mousehold out into, say, a Golden Go or an Incineroar. I'm down to remove the item of whatever's coming out, so knock off here and just Blizzard here. Okay. Ursaluna switches, so Mousehold should be staying in. And it is going to be Incineroar switching in for that slot. Fine by me. Intimidate, not super relevant here. Now we get Ice Terra Blizzard, boosted by choice specs. And that just knocks out Mousehold. Gets a crit onto it, but with the extra damage from Terra, I don't think that mattered. Either way, though, this Ninetales has had... feels like it has Serene Grace, just with all the added RNG between freeze and 2 crits. Knockoff now removes Citrus Berry on Incin. Beautiful. Oh, let's see what they do. But yeah, the advantage of thinking they were Assault Vest Ursaluna meant that like going for that Fake Out target meant that we got a lot of free damage on the first turn, which was already super good for us. I'm mainly curious if on turn 2 was going for Blood Moon onto Ninetales, Earth Power onto Incin, and their last one is Dragonite, so yeah, our Ninetales should be super well positioned right now. I'm happy to switch here. They'll probably go for Fake Out. We've got Dragon Claw on this, which already is really good. So I think here I'm happy to knock off into their Dragonite and switch in my Dragonite. They can't Terra, could be Choice Band on their Dragonite, but at this point, Ninetales Blizzard should obliterate both Dragonite as well as Ursaluna, so it's just about chipping Incin a little bit more. But for now, I'm clicking knockoff onto their Dragonite to get rid of an item, like well, they can't be Assault Vest, obviously, but getting rid of Multiscale. It's actually Scale Shot coming out. Okay. Unfortunately, while we are Rocky Helmet, Scale Shot is not a contact, and so it will still be able to get multiple hits into us, but that's totally okay. Now your defense drops, so I do even more damage. And here's knockoff into them. Getting rid of loaded dice. Removing loaded dice is actually a huge deal here, right? Because now your chances of knocking us out are just a lot slimmer. So they might Skill Shot again. I am down to Parting Shot here into Dragonite. And Low Kick into Instant. Okay, they just go for Scale Shot. Let's see how many hits they get here. 2. Oh, just 2 hits. Okay. So that's another defense drop. Another speed boost. We get Low Kick off into Incineroar. And now everything on their team should be in KO range from Blizzard, which is exactly what we're looking for. And they actually end up fainting from Rocky Helmet. Perfect. We Parting Shot into Dragonite. Snow is about to reset, so we'll just pivot Ninetales back in. And right now we want to not bring out Ninetales. We'll bring out Garchomp first, and then bring out Ninetales. Cool. So let's bring out Garchomp. And at this point, a single Blizzard just knocks out both Pokemon. And with the Snow defense boost and Dragonite being at -1, should just be locked up. I think we also could have just run out Ninetales and clicked Dazzling Gleam, honestly, because with Choice Specs, I think it gets the KO. But I think Garchomp is totally fine here as well. They bring Ursaluna back in. I'm happy to just Dragon Claw and Extreme Speed this slot, knowing you're Assault Vested, you can't protect. And Extreme Speed gets the KO, then Dragon Claw just gets redirected into the Dragonite slot. So, yeah. Beautiful. The main thing in this game was that we were able to get a second Blizzard off, and we, with that freeze, just denied Ursaluna the chance of getting any damage off, which made it a complete disaster for my opponent. So they're going to Scale Shot again. 2 hits. They need 5 in order to get the knockout here, but even if they do, we just get the free switch in back into Ninetales. But yeah, knockoff into Dragonite is nice for so many different reasons. Like, obviously, it's great to just remove its item, but it also breaks multi-scale, and Dragonite has so many helpful items like Loaded Dice or Assault Vest. Now, in this game, it obviously can't be Assault Vest because it's on Ursaluna, but being able to remove any of those is always great. But yeah, I think like one of Ninetales' best features is being faster than most of the format and being able to spam Blizzard. And so the odds of getting a freeze are solid. And in this game, we just got very lucky getting the freeze immediately. So yeah, I'm mainly curious if Ursaluna was like max special attack and if the normal Terra Blood Moon would knock out my Ninetales. My guess is that it would. But Assault Vest Ursaluna obviously hits a lot less hard than the Life Orb. But yeah, I'm guessing if they, for example, were going for Earth Power or Hyper Voice, then we definitely would have survived with Ninetales, and Ninetales would have still been in incredible shape. But if they went for Blood Moon to knock out my Ninetales, well, then I still do a ton of damage into the Ursaluna. I get the free switch into Garchomp, and then Garchomp can just go for Choice Band Earthquake as I would draw Incineroar out into Dragonite. So I feel like overall I still had really good control of that game, but being able to just get a couple of extra attacks off with Ninetales meant that we just had a, much better position. That's a Yama, folks. This is the Yama team that I featured on the channel recently. So if you want to see me use the team that my opponent has, check out the video in the description below. Ninetales is actually kind of a nightmare for this team because Blizzard spam is just so consistent. So definitely going to want to prioritize that. Yama being able to put things to sleep, though, is obviously quite scary. We could try to snipe off Yama immediately. Like, I think a lead of the Ninetales plus Garchomp feels really good here, right? Because I can just Blizzard Rock Slide, for example, on turn 1, which is really good. Yeah, I mean, I think Ninetales was one of, like, the most nightmarish Pokemon to go up against when I was using that team. So I'm down for just Ninetales Garchomp here. Ice Spin or Dragonite in the back. Don't think we need a Moongus. It could be Gambit as a switch into Golden Go, since it's specs. Okay, I'm down for that. I think Ensign is also fine here. My main issue with Ensign is that if they bring King Gambit, which I think is fairly likely, I could activate Define on their end, which is a little bit awkward. I don't want to do that. But I think Ninetales and Garchomp is just so oppressive here. As they go Yama Garchomp, that's totally fine by me. I think, honestly, this is probably just Ice Terra Blizzard. Yeah. Ice Terra Blizzard and Dragon Claw into Yama. If I were my opponent, actually, like, I think their only out here would be to get Golden Go in safely. So the best play for them right now is protect Yama, switch Garchomp out into Golden Go. I don't feel the need to read that, though. I'm still happy to Ice Terra here. And Dragon Claw. They don't switch, which is already a really good sign. The main thing that we want to respect here is Protect and Hypnosis, which is why I'm aggressively targeting down Yama. We also don't want it to get a Tailwind up. But it's Ground Terra Garchomp. Oh my gosh, they're going to Terra. Oh, I am sorry for what's about to come your way. When I was using the Yama team... Oh, they changed it up. They're actually Fire Terra. Okay. Respect. This is still obviously going to do a ton, though. Yep, brings Yama down to Sash. Okay. Dragon Claw finishes off Yama, so no Hypnosis or Tailwind. Let's see if they're Dragon Clawing in return, or whether or not it's like just Earthquake. Okay, just Earthquake, that's fine. Yeah, so this is one thing that's really smart, right? Taking a popular team and then just editing the Terra types, because the initial version of that team is Ground Terra on Garchomp. But if it was Ground Terra, they're just, you know, in really, really tough shape. So we're locked into Dragon Claw now, so we probably want to switch Garchomp out. Garchomp out into Gambit or Dragonite. I'm happy to just get a Blizzard off here. I could just stay in, honestly, as well. And just Dragon Claw Garchomp. But I think, like, Protect, Make It Rain here makes a lot of sense from their end. So, yeah, I'm happy to Blizzard here and then switch into Gambit. Because I don't want to break Multiscale on Dragonite quite yet. Okay. They don't Protect on Garchomp, that's fine. So we get Blizzard off. Cool. They just Dragon Claw into us, perfect. And then presumably Make It Rain. And now I can just Sucker Punch everything, right? Which is really good. Yep. Cool. So Ninetales faints, but it's done more than I needed it to. The Ice Terra was just to get like increased damage into things that resist us, right? Ultimately, it may have been better to actually have Terra'd like this. I also think I could go out into Garchomp right now, but then I'd have to respect Clefable. We're also Jolly on this team, and you should be Admin on the opposing side so that your Yama's faster. So I think with that, I can actually just bring out Chomp since I outsped them on turn 1 of the game. And just Earthquake and switch out into Dragonite. The one way they could get around this is Golden Go. Okay, they don't switch Golden Go, which is good. I guess if they changed it to Scarf Golden Go, this would be really interesting. But it's not. Cool. So Band EQ just knocks out both. And like this shows the synergy behind this team, right? Ninetales being able to force out defensive Terras that are good into Ice means that Garchomp can just fully take advantage of it, right? Your Steel Terras, your Fire Terras. The rest of this team can have so much value from that. Low Kick into Steel Terra, Earthquake into Steel Terra. So let's see what the final one is. Regardless of what the last one is, it's actually Gambit. Okay, cool. Like, I don't think there was any fourth Pokemon that could save my opponent, because if it's their Dragonite, we just Ice Spinner, and Clefable does not that much damage into Assault Vest multi-scale. So we can just Earthquake here and Low Kick. They'll probably Sucker Punch us. Yeah. But we survive. Beautiful. And now, Choice Band Earthquake. I think it just gets the KO here. But oh, it actually doesn't. Okay, impressively, Gambit survives, but Low Kick finishes things off. Yeah, I think the main thing to note here is that with them having the Fire Terra, they were at least able to weather the storm a little bit. Because with the initial version of the team with Ground Terra, like, Garchomp's just in such a bad spot in the beginning of the game. But this is what makes Ninetales so awesome. It's like, they got an Earthquake against us, right? Neither of my Pokemon even fainted. This game actually would look differently, I think, if they had just Dragon Clawed our Garchomp on turn 1 to eliminate it. Then, you know, I would knock out Yama, but then I get the free switching into Golden Go, and think things are, or sorry, into King Gambit, and things are still pretty tricky for my opponent, because then you have to deal with Sucker Punch plus Blizzard as a double up. And Ninetales just has a great matchup into Garchomp, even with them having Fire Terra, because we have the Snow defense buff, right? Which is really, really nice for us. But yeah. Them being Fire Terra at least helps out, and I think once again it's like a really smart thing to do to take a common team, like a rental team, and then just like edit some moves or Terras or items, because normally when people see it they're just going to assume it's the initial version of the team. And so, like I said, like Scarf Golden Go could have been really scary for us there, because you would have at least outsped Garchomp, but I thought Garchomp would honestly survive a -1 Scarf Make It Rain, which is why I felt fine in that spot. Ooh, Slacking, Weezing, Dondozo, Tatsu, Toedscruel, and Golden Go. Okay. So with no abilities, how does this game look? I could just go Garchomp immediately and Steel Terra it. Low Kick from Dragonite's not bad either. Like, I'm thinking just Garchomp Dragonite lead. Ninetales is good into Dozo stuff. It could be Amoonguss for Dondozo, but I think I like Instant a little bit more because it's more valuable into Golden Go and Toedscruel. But yeah, interesting team here. There's obviously a lot of combos. You can go Weezing, Toedscruel immediately, Weezing, Slacking, Dondozo, Weezing, Protect, Poison Gas, switch in Tatsu. So let's see what they opt for. It's going to be Weezing, Toedscruel. Okay. Interesting. Well, I have Ice Spinner. We don't have Goggles here. I think I'm down to turn 1 just Earthquake and Ice Spinner. Yeah, so Weezing protects, which makes sense. We get Earthquake off. And I'm fine just locking into Earthquake here. Like, I didn't think it was better to go for, say, Stomping Tantrum, for example. It's honestly good damage. Yeah, and they sport a Garchomp, which is a trade I'll take, because now we just knock out their Toedscruel. But I guess this is interesting because you can bring out the Slacking now. And you've put me to sleep. You bring out Slacking. I wonder if it has Ice Punch. But then I could just bring out... Oh no, they just bring out Golden Go. Okay. I don't mind that. If it's Golden Go, I think I'm actually willing to commit my Terra here just defensively so that I don't feint to Make It Rain. Go for Earthquake. And switch in Instant here. Instant here gives me Fake Out Pressure next turn. The question is how quickly we wake up with Garchomp, but I think even if, like, we have a 2-turn sleep, it feels fine. 3 turns, it might get dicey if this is Nasty Claw Golden Go. But the reality is with Steel Terra on Chomp, I shouldn't take that much damage right now, so we're just looking to burn some sleep turns. Okay, so there's turn 1 of sleep. They just make it rain. Beautiful. Looks like specs to me. Okay. Yep, and they Will-O-Wisp. Perfect. Okay, so that's really good. They still haven't committed a Terra yet. This switching out into Slacking certainly makes some sense as you protect Wheezing. The question is, do I like clicking Earthquake here is risky because I could wake up and then damage myself. But I have to. Yeah. Okay, I went for Earthquake knockoff here. They do switch out Golden Go. Like, I honestly don't mind hurting myself because it means that I wake up. But we're going to see the final reveal, and it indeed is Slacking. Oh, wow. Okay, they don't go for Protect on Wheezing. So we Earthquake. It does end up knocking out my Incineroar. So that could have been Fake Out onto the Wheezing slot. And I'm guessing they're going to go for maybe Will-O-Wisp now. It could be Taunt onto the Instant slot as well. Yep. Okay, works for me. That's brilliant. Now I can just bring out Ninetales. Cool. As long as you don't have like a random Flying Terra, I think we should be pretty well positioned, right? Because I think what I can do here is this should protect right now. So I can just switch Dragonite in and Freeze Dry. And then once I Freeze Dry the Slacking, everything is in Earthquake KO range. Cool. Yep, Wheezing goes for the obvious protect. We get Choice Specs Freeze Dry. Nice. And they high horsepower into that slot. Beautiful. And now everything should just be in Earthquake KO range. Like, Wheezing could switch out here. I'm happy to just Freeze Dry that slot. This could be Ghost Terra, so I don't want to E-Speed. Ice Spinner, Freeze Dry. Okay, they Sucker Punch us. That's fine. Now we get Specs Freeze Dry to finish off the Wheezing. Beautiful. I could have gotten Moonblast earlier, by the way, but I would prefer to lock into the Freeze Dry. And knowing that it is Golden Go in the back. I will say the one thing that it would make this interesting is my opponent hasn't Terra'd, so if it were like Terra Flying Golden Go suddenly out of nowhere, I think that would be very interesting. Like, you don't Terra this turn and then Terra next turn. Double checking the field state. That's fine. I'm happy to just Ice Spinner into you here. Freeze Dry into you. I'm not going to go for a switch. They just end up forfeiting. Flying Terra Specs Golden Go would make very little sense, honestly, unless you specifically really didn't like going up against ground types like Garchomp. So, yeah, that was my only concern. But Garchomp was able to just wake up quickly in this game. Having the Ice Spinner on Dragonite was huge because it allowed us to just eliminate Toedsquirrel, so they weren't able to put more than one Pokemon to sleep. And then, yeah, Steel Terra was just huge, right? One of Weezing's downsides is that you just don't do very much damage with it, with that variant. Normally, you're going to run, like, Sludge Bomb, so Sludge Bomb, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Protect. But with Steel Terra, like, that plus Golden Go just put on very little offensive pressure, so it's rare to Terra something that hasn't even taken a sleep turn yet, but in this case, it made so much sense, and with them being Choice Specs, it just, like, put my opponent into a really tough slot. And I think one thing that was helpful in this game was actually having Pokemon that are faster than Slacking. Normally, with Weezing Slacking, like, the advantage is, oh, you get rid of Slacking's ability, so then Slacking, you know, being a pretty decent naturally fast Pokemon will outpace a lot of Pokemon, but when we have Ninetales, for example, it just gives us a big advantage. Okay, we've got Indeedee, Murkrow, Armarouge, Gallade, Sneasler, Golden Go. This is scary. Wide Guard support from Gallade and Armarouge. Clear Amulet Glade. This is, yeah, really scary. Might be Instant Dragonite. I don't love Gambit with dual fighting on their end. Garchomp does a lot of damage. I could Terra this just to try to get a Spore off. So I could go Instant Dragonite, Garchomp, Ninetales. The problem with this is I don't have Protect, so I can't stall out Tailwind very easily. I think they're surely going to lead Tailwind. Ninetales might be kind of an ambitious pick then, honestly. I think I'm interested in Amoonguss here because if we eliminate Goldengo, a good Terra with Amoonguss into a Spore can really slow down their momentum. But yeah, this is a really scary matchup. I think they have a ton of things that I don't like seeing. The threat of Wide Guard alone is really scary. Glade and Psychic Terrain does so much damage with Sharpness. There it is, yeah. Just hits the field immediately. It's probably Clear Amulet too. Yeah, this is not good. Follow Me, Sacred Sword is a play that makes sense from their end on turn 1. Follow Me, Sacred Sword. I went Grass Terra, Ice Spinner knockoff here. The idea is to just eliminate Indeedee, but I don't know. Like, it feels really bad to commit Terra to Incin here of all Pokemon. But the idea is if I can eliminate Indeedee, then no more terrain. Yeah, they just go for Follow Me. That's fine. They may have just targeted the Dragonite, honestly, but we actually moved first before Glade, so that's good to confirm. Rocky Helmet breaks multi-skill, though. That's not great. And now they get to Psycho Cut us, yeah. So that Terra wasn't even necessary, but it's fine, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. We're looking to get chip damage onto Glade so that Garchomp with Choice Band can just do a ton. Oh, but they bring Goldengo back. Rain, that's really tough. Especially with Wide Guard support, potentially. You can just make it Rain now. I think Amoonguss doesn't provide us much value, so I just bring that in here and then go for Extreme Speed onto Glade. Yeah, I just felt like it was really safe for them to Sacred Sword into Incin, but I don't know if I needed to respect Sacred Sword that much to commit a whole Terra to it. Good damage from E-Speed. Yeah, there's Make It Rain. That did, like, very little damage to Dragonite. I wonder if it's Choice Scarfed, by any chance. They Sacred Sword into Amoonguss. Okay. I get another E-Speed off now into you, which is cool. Garchomp here does have Stomping Tantrum with Choice Band, which is really big in the late game. So I think here I don't mind going for Protect and E-Speed. Glade protects. I'm worried about Nasty Plot right now from Goldengo. I would have much preferred Specs Goldengo in this game. But yeah, this is a really safe play by them. I could have gone side Pollen Puff to potentially cover this turn, but yeah, it's a Nasty Plot. That's not good. Okay. The question now becomes, what Terra are you? I could switch Amoonguss out into Incin. E-Speed into this is pretty safe. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Incin in the end game over Amoonguss. So E-Speed again. They Shadow Ball us instead of make it rain. Smart. There's a part of me that wants to just like Terra Dragon Claw. Or sorry, straight up Dragon Claw into their Golden Go. Some Nasty Plot Golden Goes are still... They're not Life Orb, which is the problem. And this is where if I'd saved my Terra for Garchomp, I'd be able to Terra Steal it. But I did not. Yeah, Gallade was just so scary, but I think the turn 1 Terra on Incin was not necessary. Okay, I'm gonna Stomping and Fake Out into Golden Go. Because Golden Go could Terra here, but yeah, they just protect. Nicely done. And they don't protect Gallade. Very nicely played. Okay. Basically, I didn't want to knock out Gallade here because if Murkrow were their last one, they just bring Murkrow out, then Tailwind make it rain, which is the problem. Sacred Sword just does so much there, though. And like if they had, you know, gotten greedy there and Terra their Golden Go, I think we had a chance. But Stomping now. Knock off. Yeah, here's the Terra. So probably like Terra Dragon. Or Water. Yeah. If I stayed in with Incin, maybe I had a chance. I think the main thing here is the Terra usage was what really cost me in the end. Yeah, Stomping would have gotten the KO if Golden Go didn't Terra. So it was Terra, Water, Citrus, Nasty Plot, Golden Go. And on their team, like I was expecting Specs because it's Specs Murkrow, or sorry, Specs Golden Go is just so good with Murkrow. Gallade sometimes doesn't carry Protect, so that having Protect also messed me up a little bit. It's probably just Psycho Cut, Sacred Sword, Wide Guard Protect if I had to guess. On the Trick Room teams, you often give up the Protect for Trick Room, but no need for Trick Room on their composition here. So yeah, Indeedee plus Gallade was just so oppressive. Rocky Helmet wasn't a great item to run into. I wasted my Terra in the beginning of this game. I couldn't spam my spread moves very easily. Golden Go has a good matchup into Ninetales, and so yeah, it's like funny because they never even clicked Wide Guard, but the threat of Wide Guard alone made me play this game completely differently than if like they didn't have a Wide Guard user in team preview, and I was then able to spam my spread moves basically with confidence, which made the game a lot tougher. But yeah, if I could replay this game, I think the main thing would be the consideration on turn 1. Like, I think it's fine even if Incin goes down, right, to something like Helping Hand Sacred Sword turn 1. Because then I at least get a free switch it into Garchomp, and then Choice Band Garchomp applies a lot of pressure with Stomping Tantrum, but yeah. Okay, looks like we are up against what should be Sun here, with Whimsicott, Typhlosion. We have Indeedee, Sneasler, Samurott, and Maushold as well. Rocky Helmet Incineroar immediately, I think, is a must-bring here. It's Intimidate into these physical attackers in Maushold. Normally it's going to be Pop Bomb Maushold here. Sneasler and Samurott, and it also has Rocky Helmet to deal with Maushold. Whimsicott, Typhlosion, Whimsicott, Maushold, Indeedee, Sneasler are the 3 like really big threats I think to respect lead-wise. Mungus here is Fairy Terra, so we are not going to be able to handle Whimsicott, Typhlosion very easily. I think Assault Vest Dragonite's the clear answer, especially with Multiscale. Dragonite King Gambit's kind of fire, right? Because I could Sucker Punch, Dark Terra, Sucker Punch, and Extreme Speed Typhlosion. If we could stall out Tailwind, then where do we go from there is the other question. Okay, I'm going to go Incin. I think Chomp as the last one over Ninetales may have been better since they don't have very many Earthquake answers. Ninetales is just intriguing to me because if we knock out Whimsicott and they can't change the weather, then Ninetales can actually soak up damage since they have so many physical attackers and Blizzard does so much in return. They're going to go with Whimsicott and Sneasler. Not the most common lead, but I'll take that. We get an Intimidate off immediately into Sneasler, so I think that's already in a tough spot. Is it White Herb? Oh, okay, so it's not Psychic Seed. That's really interesting. That's cool. Obviously, could just close combat us immediately. We pressure Fake Out onto this. This protecting makes sense. I could see them just protecting both Pokemon turn 1, honestly. I could see them close combating into us immediately. I don't mind going for Terra here. Terra Blast into Sneasler, and then switch Incin out into Gambit. The logic here is if they protect, then I can pivot Incin back in for Intimidate in the next turn. I wouldn't be surprised if they just double protect here, which I'm totally fine with as well. But yeah, I think if you're my opponent, you have to respect something like turn 1 Fake Out plus Terra Blast, and so I don't want to just go for that and have them protect for free. If they close combat, then that's a great play by them. But yeah, Sneasler does go for protect. That's fine. The whole idea behind this is now I can just bring Incin back in next turn. Moonblast into us. Not too much damage. Could have been a Terra Blast into Whims, I suppose. That would have been nice, but it's fine. Yeah, so now I get to launch Terra Blast freely into Sneasler and then switch back out into Incin. What I didn't want to happen was go for Fake Out, Terra Blast, double up onto Sneasler, they protect, and then turn 2 I'm stuck on the field with the Incineroar, because I think that's kind of awkward. I could have doubled up onto Whimsicott, I think, but, you know, in reality, it's not really doing too much damage to me anyway. They actually switch Whimsicott out. Okay, so probably Indeedee coming out now. Yeah, fine by me. It does notably set up terrain. I think Sneasler here maybe now considers going for Terra defensively. But we're going to pivot out. The good thing to note is that Gambit is already really good into Whimsicott plus Indeedee, so it's a question of what their final one is, but my guess is Typhlosion. The question is, how do you get Typhlosion in safely, right? They're going to go for Terra here, but now that we've gotten this Intimidate off, I think I'm more than okay with it. I think the main fear right now is without Lumberry on Dragonite, I'm at mercy of potential Dire Claw RNG into us. They're Flying Terra, which is interesting because it means that I can actually click Fake Out into you. It's Flying Terra Acrobatics. Okay. 175 down to 103. Yeah, that doesn't even do half. And I get to respond back with Terra Blast. Awesome. Cool. That almost just KOs. Beautiful. So I could just Extreme Speed into you now. Terrain is up, but Sneasler isn't grounded. So E-Speed knockoff here seems okay. They should honestly protect. So I'm also thinking about doubling up into Indeedee right now. The question is, how much does Expanding Force do into us? But I think I'm down to go for E-Speed here. And knockoff. Okay, Sneasler does protect, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm like fine attacking until the obvious protects right now because we have a lot of defense to work with. They actually just offer Dazzling Gleam. So, yeah, it's a crit onto Instant. It still doesn't really even do that much to us. Knockoff brings Indeedee down to Sash. So that makes me guess that Whimsicott's probably Covert Cloak based on how this has played out so far. So I'm down to E-Speed into Because this covers for Whimsicott switching back in. Yeah, if we knock out Whimsicott, then Ninetales just wins the game. So Sneasler switches. Could be Typhlosion coming out. Oh, it's actually Samurott as their last one. Okay, cool. So I think Typhlosion's really well positioned. Or sorry, not Typhlosion. Samurott's really well... Ninetales is really well positioned in this endgame. They're going to go for Expanding Force. Yep. Doesn't KO us. And Flare Blitz comes out. Wow, that's good damage. Was that a crit? Not even. And we actually even burned Samurott, which is quite lucky. I think I was always going to switch Instant out this next turn anyway, but now Samurott's damage output is just so much worse. 2 turns of Psychic Terrain. Yeah, we're going to switch in Gambit here and sacrifice Dragonite. So I'm happy to just go for Extreme Speed here, mainly because I don't think Dragonite should ever get an attack off. So the idea behind clicking Extreme Speed is in case you switch back out onto Sneasler, I would catch you on that. But I think the main thing is in this game, the Sneasler is the main threat, but because I'm able to cycle with Intimidates, it's not actually that scary. So, yeah, E-Speed doesn't work against Samurott here, but like I said, the logic as they Sacred Sword us here, that's fine. And then Gleam probably, yep. Yeah, the main thing is now I get the free switch into the Ninetales, which I was looking for this whole time. Cool. So we bring you out. I think we're at a point where I can probably just click Blizzard into their whole team. Last turn of Psychic Terrain, so Indeedee might consider switching out. But yeah, I think I'm happy to just click Blizzard and protect here. I think if I didn't get the burn onto Samurott, I would have played this endgame a little bit differently. But with the burn and with Snow Up now, like Ninetales is just not taking any damage from Samurott, so Blizzard is going to do meaningful damage into them, and it's going to, like, they're, you know, getting chipped away between the snow as well as the burn coming out, which is why I'm okay going for this. And yeah, I think Indeedee is in an awkward spot because it's like you probably want Terrain to remain, right? Because if Terrain expires, then Gambit can just start clicking Sucker Punch again. But they're going to stay in, okay? Which means they're not protecting, so we should just knock out Indeedee, which is huge. Oh, it's Choice Scarf Samurott. That's cool. Okay. Blizzard does so much there. But yeah, even without the burn, like with Scarf, you're still not doing a ton of damage to me, and I would be able to just cycle an Incineroar for the Intimidate. So Terrain disappears now. Sneasler is Flying Terra Acrobatics. It should be Acro, Dire Claw, Close Combat, Protect. So I don't have to worry about Fake Out, I think. Yep, so Sneasler comes back out. Let's see, Sneasler probably should Protect here. If I were them, I would Sacred Sword into this and Protect. If I go for Blizzard, Sucker here, they Sacred Sword knock me out, but then I just get Instant in, right? And then I just Fake Out Blizzard. They Sacred Sword this. Yeah, I think this is fine. We did so much damage to the Ninetales already. Or sorry, the Sneasler. Yeah, they bring out Whimsicott, but now Blizzard just obliterates Whimsicott in one shot. Yep, Sneasler protects. I think the main thing in this game is I thought Typhlosion would be in the back for sure. Like the turn I went for Flare Blitz, it worked out since we got the burn, but that could have been like a parting shot, for example, which may have been a little bit more consistent. I was just like, if they switch in Whimsicott, because I was assuming the last one was Typhlosion, if we nailed the Whimsicott on the switch in, I would just win the game on the spot. But yeah. Yep, so Samurott comes back out. They're Scarfed, but now we just go for Blizzard here and Sucker Punch again. And I'm fine targeting Sneasler here. I think if we didn't get this burn, then I would consider, for example, Sucker Punching Samurott or even switching an Instant here, but we just don't want the Sneasler to get another attack off here. Don't want it to Close Combat or Dire Claw, so let's just get rid of it. Let's see what Scarf Samurott locks into here. It's going to be Aqua Cutter. Okay, that's fine. And Blizzard now just gets the final blow. So yeah, if we didn't get that burn, I think it would have been interesting because essentially, they did end up Sacred Swording into the instant, and which like Gambit then would have just like fainted immediately. So then the question is, would I have felt as safe switching the instant out, right? Because I think like there's a world in which maybe I just sacrifice the instant, knowing that they are getting to a point where the Tailwind is getting expired out, and then Psychic Terrain is also getting expired out. So then the late game Ninetales Blizzard pressure is just so good. Like Ninetales mainly would have to worry about getting attacked by the Sneasler, but with them going for Flying Terror, I can actually take advantage of it. But yeah, I think if I were to play this game differently, the one turn I can really point to is when we were up against the Samurott, and they switched in. It could have been a parting shot that turn. Like the burn was obviously quite lucky, but most of the times we're not going to get a burn like that, right? And so when you get good fortune, you really want to make the most out of it, and we were able to do so. But it's also good to reflect on games and be like, okay, like if I didn't get that lucky turn, how would the game have played out, right? And I think parting shot would have been consistent against like Samurott or Typhlosion rather than fishing for Whimsicott, just switching back in. Turn one, also I could have just had a huge advantage if I went Terra Blast into the Whimsicott instead, and then switching King Gambit, because then Indeedee just comes back out, or sorry, Instinct comes back out, intimidates them. But yeah, Ninetales was amazing for us in this end game. And you can see Samurott resisted us, but Blizzard was still doing so much damage to it. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thanks once again to Raid for supporting today's video. Don't forget to check him out with the QR code as well as the links down in the description below.